Mindflow Radio.
Mindflow Radio.
She's Jalen.
And he's Monte. And we're here today with Erin.
Thank you, Erin, for being here.
She's our beautiful monthly guest here.
Yay.
So
It's already been a month.
I know. It flies so fast. Don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Woke up this morning, smiled at the rising sun. 3 little birds sat by my doorstep, singing sweet songs of a melody pure and true. Yeah, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. Oh, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry, y'all, because time goes by and be like, whoa, that was a year ago? Do what? That's how it goes, right? is there anything that you'd like to share with our listeners about yourself?
We'll just start with that, huh? Well, yeah, I mean, we had talked a little bit about, just sharing more about our intimate paths, I guess, and who we are and what we do. I guess for myself, are we opening up just for me to share my story?
Or
just where I am right now?
Feel like sharing with our listeners, because I realize that we don't ever say, what do you want to share?
Yeah.
So it could be your profession, or it could just be where you're at.
Sure. Well, I'm Erin, and I grew up here, and grew up in Soldiers Grove on a little farm, and
Farm girl.
I'm a farm girl. Yeah, the traditional, dairy farm. So the conventional wisdom of the dairy farm. So as it were. So I grew up here, and I'm a nurse practitioner. Never really left the area. Found Viroqua to be my home, and mostly because I just love Viroqua. It just is such a cool place, and I think we take it for granted at times, and maybe, and sometimes I see myself as kind of bridging the two worlds, because I grew up in the rural kind of dairy culture, and then I really adapted to the more organic culture of Viroqua, as it were. And I don't know, I just feel a special connection to both, and a nice bridge to both. Yeah. And hopefully I can give that vibe off a little bit too, because definitely Viroqua needs that bridge. And we all need a bridge from whatever the paradox is, whether it's farming or politics or religion, whatever the paradox is, we need a bridge between the two. So, so I guess that's where I grew up and what I believe about Viroqua. I'm a nurse practitioner. I don't know what that means right now for me. I work in the emergency room right now. I love that because I can just show up, and I find a lot of value in emergency medicine. I find a value in all medicine because it is where we are in our current state of affairs of the world. But I really like to be part of something that feels good to my soul. And emergency room still does that to some level.
All right.
You get to save people.
Yeah, well, I don't really save people. I leave that up to Tony.
You get to be a part of
Thank you, Tony.
And the crew, right?
Yeah.
And today's gearing up for the full moon.
Yeah, so it'll be a full moon. Yeah, I work tonight, so we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe it'll be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the cool thing about emergency work is you get to really see the cycle of the moon. And I think that it's kind of funny that it wouldn't be just a known, that all emergency room doctors. I know the police are. Well, the lacrosse police said that they always know when it's the full moon.
I think a lot of medicine doesn't believe in astrology, so I think that's why they won't buy it.
And an underlying question as far as the full moon, are things wilder on the full moon because we all expect things to be wilder on the full moon?
I don't think so.
I think it's an energy.
But is that energy created in our own minds through our own expectations?
I don't think so. I don't think they know it's a full moon. I think a lot of patients don't.
But just in general, a lot of people do know it's a full moon, and that adds something to the collective consciousness. Yeah, and I mean, I'm not pretending like I know the answer, but it is a question in my mind. It's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, we're manifestors, maybe just having all this belief around the full moon.
I don't know. I feel like the ocean is proof enough for me. And the I'm sorry, I just right out my mind when the waves come in and go
tide,
thank you.
Yeah.
The tide is definitely affected. We are 70% water or more.
Actually, we're 100% energy, though.
Yeah, we're 100% energy and 70% water.
Well, the water boils down. Water is actually energy.
Okay.
Just saying. Really.
I guess we're
all energy.
The physics level of things. And
that's
but I hear you, the tides are altered, but that doesn't necessarily, in my mind, mean that our behavior is altered because of
completely causality.
Yeah, it's
I think it pulls on us, just like the moon pulls on the waves. It pulls on us, and we don't exactly understand it. I think if we understood it, we would actually be more calm.
Right. If we could be mindful of it.
Yeah.
So that's the other piece too. Is
instead of feeling crazy.
If you feel that energy and you're like, wow, what's happening with me? And you can, the metacognition to notice it.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that, then you would likely spiral and maybe land in the emergency room. I don't know.
Or in the police car.
Or in jail, or in the hospital, or hopefully...
or in the doghouse, on the couch.
Yeah, on the couch, yeah. Worst case scenario.
Wait, which one's the worst case scenario?
The couch.
The couch. Oh, that's so funny.
That is funny.
Awesome. Yeah, so... here we are.
Yeah.
This show is special recorded for WDRT. Big shout out to our community radio station.
And James Halberg for starting all this. And it's been great. It's been quite the journey. James, thank you so much.
Yeah. And so this will come out on the radio in a week from now. So it won't be the full moon. Don't worry if you're not feeling the full moon at that time.
You can reflect then.
You can reflect back, and you can mark your calendar for the future.
Yeah, I just rewinding back to James just for a moment. I've been like just watching the process of this radio station being something that James held in his mind, and then boom, and then he's got an internet radio station, and boom, and now this station's come out of it. So it's something that it's kind of proof of the power of the human mind and the ability for us to manifest things, and I don't know, I was just pointing that out because
creating a vision.
And what kind of vision do we want to create, like for 10 years down the road?
Other people's even, and to see it, and it makes, like you said, it's proof then that wow, I really can do that.
Yeah, we can. That's what we do as humans. We have that ability. I mean, I think we manifest our lives whether we know it or not. Even if
absolutely, I absolutely agree with that.
Even if that means just being stuck in the status quo, we manifest that by our minds being stuck in the status quo. And then
and the unconscious patterns of all our traumas creeping up and bubbling into our reality, and the past lacing the present with any sensation or thought.
That's why I think it's important that we consciously work on creating the life we feel we're destined to lead. That we consciously do that.
Yeah. How have you done that?
Oh, that's a great question. I hold it in my mind. I actually, I've been involved with different types of chanting practices, and one of them is just specifically for creating things. So I've been consciously attempting to create my life for the last 25 years. And it's like one thing I heard that was really interesting to me, and it's this philosophy that if you can hold something in your mind for they had a set amount of time, not even that much time.
I think it was 20 seconds or 16.
No, it was longer than that. I think a few minutes. If you were able to really hold it clearly in your mind for a few minutes, that it would manifest. You see? So it's okay, let's play with that. And what do we really want to create? And we have to be careful because in our culture, so many of us are just into creating, destroying things and destroying other people and all this stuff.
Repeating patterns.
Yeah, that's the status quo, right? That's the old humanity. We're better off if we destroy all those people. Whatever that kind of philosophy is, but that's why we need to be careful of the status quo, and we don't need to, but it's beneficial to us individually to try and create a better life for ourselves which means working with our karma. Obviously by creating a better life, that doesn't mean hurting others. So we try and create just a better culture in general.
If we manifest hate to others, then it turns to ourselves. In my own experience of manifesting or recognition is that in the years where maybe I wasn't kind or I didn't care about others, and a common thing I would even say is, well, if everybody would just be like us, the world would be a beautiful place. I would say that often. It was partially joking, but it was partially true, that I really thought that I was right and that they were wrong. Yeah. And then, but those years were also the years where I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
I had no self-love. So I think if we're focused on that, it's just a constant cycle. And then for me, it was deciding to shift to, I remember consciously saying often, like, I just want peace. Like, I just want peace. And I just keep saying that. And then slowly, ever so slowly, it shifted, to a different thought pattern of loving others. Really, it wasn't until Christopher came to my life that I realized that I could really love others, and that it would, not that I could, but that it would benefit me. You. Yeah. That I would grow, that I would become a more beautiful human being. And so I'm really grateful for that. Really all of so this week I've spent just tons of time reflecting on Christopher, and I guess I don't know if I've shared, I'm sure I have, but Christopher was my husband who died a year ago, and just really reflecting on the power of his relationship with me, and seeing him completely as a gift from God. I don't see any other way about it. Even I've ventured to believe that he's been with me my whole life from God, that his soul's been attached to mine for my whole life somehow.
Wow.
And I don't know.
Like a magnet, like a magnetic pull.
Yeah. Yeah. Like maybe I always knew, maybe I always somehow felt his direction. Who knows? I don't know. I thought this week for a little bit I might be losing my mind a few times too. So all sorts of crazy ideas and wanderings, but certainly a gift from God.
Yeah.
And finding those gifts and
allowing yourself to look for them.
Look for them, yeah.
Or be open to them revealing themselves, I guess is probably the better way to say that.
Yeah. It's easy to be closed from them if you're hurting, if you have pain, if you just... Well, we build walls too.
Or like,
absolutely.
Like you're saying about hatred too. That's like, it's blinding.
Yeah.
Because hating others, and then we hate ourselves because the mind's in the habit of hating. So then I make a mistake. I'm blaming, and then self-hatred, and then we're not open.
Right.
And then we don't see like the beauty.
Right.
And we miss the sunset. Yep. Or whatever it is.
We
don't hear the birds.
Story. I think
about that sometimes.
That's
a good one.
I think, here I am. I'm 40 years old, and I'm married twice. I'm a widow. Like all these things I didn't ever imagine being. Right. I have a toddler. I'm 40, and I'm not doing it alone. I have family. I have friends, but still, I'm kind of alone. And I could imagine a story that says that I didn't like Christopher for that, for bringing me that, for leaving me that, for leaving me.
The burden of it.
The burden of it. I could have created a burden out of it. I really, the old me would have. Yeah. Truly. If I think back to my first marriage, I created a burden out of that marriage. Now I see the beauty in it. And
that's awesome.
In the foundation and the rock that, my ex-husband is. But at the time, it took me years to get to that after the marriage. So it's a story you create. And
absolutely.
Be conscious of and kind in your story. And
to
then,
yourself and others.
Yeah, we all have these stories.
Yeah.
Essentially, that's our philosophy.
That reminds me of our neighbor he's, shout out to Robert. Hey, in case you hear this. It's always so fun. It's almost like that one show where the neighbor is peeking over and they always have the conversation. I can't remember the show, but
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement.
Mr. Wilson?
Yeah. He's our Mr. Wilson. And we'll like go out for a walk and there he is and we'll have this like great meaningful conversation. And we were talking about spiritual direction and spiritual bypassing and how to not to do that. And he was talking about there's 3 really important stories that we have to listen to. We have to do the deep listening, and that's our story, your story, and the story. And I just thought that was great.
Yeah.
Because we want to skip the your story or the
our story.
Our story is better than your story because my story is better than your story.
And the story doesn't even exist to some people. Right. You know, I had periods in my life where there was no the story. Right. It was just me and them. So, and that speaks to like duality. So if you're living in a life of duality, it's us versus them.
Yeah.
Well, there has to be a third story. You know, there has to be, you know, in AA, it's, you know, surrendering to being powerless and that there's something bigger and whether it's God or it's the universe or however you see it.
That which created us.
Yeah. Richard Rohr has a podcast right now that he's doing called The Cosmic Egg. Okay. And it's that. It's my story, your story, and the story. And it's really, it's...
Yeah, I think it's a Franciscan thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think an important thing when it comes to the story, too, is realizing that we can't fully realize it. You know, and to pretend we can, that's really lacking in humility. Because, I mean, when you're talking about the story, you're entering the realm of infinity, which we can't really grasp. I mean, we can sort of, you know, take a look at it and try.
Moments.
Yeah, but I mean,
Never
there's no way our
sticks.
finite brains can grasp this infinite reality, but it's there.
And I think there's a quality to the deep listening too that has to be, because you know how you're saying you had your story and their story, but to really reach the spiritual growth, it's not seeing it as a them, but seeing it as neutral. Like, I am just hearing your story, and you have every right to your story and all the emotions and all the emotions. Is the
all
big
your
one,
beliefs.
right? All your
you
beliefs.
have a right to all your beliefs.
Yeah.
They're yours.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're valid.
Yeah.
And ideally, you know, our beliefs, we don't cling to them either. We allow them to evolve.
Yeah.
As we evolve. Like you said, your story has shifted over the years. And I think one of the big problems in our culture is a lot of people get stuck in their story. And then that's the story. And they won't look outside of it because that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like something new. It's like, no, this is my story. And I think a lot of that boils down to us identifying with our thoughts, which, you know, coming back to that metacognition, we're not our thoughts, we're the projector of our thoughts. And if we identify with that, then we can change our thoughts and not change us. But if you self-identify with thoughts and ideas, then you don't want to change them because you would cease to exist, essentially.
If we can notice our thoughts and just notice them and then investigate more. Where do they come from?
Yeah.
How did I get this thought? I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a really fun exploration inside to yourself of why do I believe what I believe?
Yeah.
And then does it serve me? You know, I did a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago, time goes so fast, but I was wondering, like, why was I born here as a white woman in, you know, Vernon County and as a Christian? And that was my big question. Why was I born a Christian? Like, what is beautiful about Christianity that I'm missing? Because I was missing it completely. Basically because I created a story that it was bad.
Oh, okay.
You know, that the church was bad, that the power was bad, and the control, it's all just control. But it's a beautiful story of basically, like faith. We talked, a faith and three. You know, I think the Holy Trinity, and it was really a fun connection I made to the Trinity, and like we were talking earlier about like water. It's 3 things. It's hydrogen and 2 oxygen. I mean, everything comes in threes, right? Things just don't work in twos. They do this. They butt against each other, and then you put a third in, and then there's flow. And I think
it's like
cool.
the tug of war can only be done with two, but once you have a third, or even when you're what just flew through my mind is a court, and you don't want even numbers because you need that odd to tip the scale somewhere.
Yeah.
So. And you have that triangle and you connect the dots and it's a circle.
Yeah.
Right.
Boom.
It is.
Yeah,
that's
a
right
yantra. There. I'm pretty sure that's the root yantra with the triangle and the circle around it.
Yeah, all religions or all the main religions have a trinity. And so that is really telling to something, to the power of 3. It's really a powerful number. If I had to have a favorite number, I guess that's it now.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, it's a magic number. Yeah, it is. It's a magic number. Do you know that song?
No.
Oh, Schoolhouse Rocks. Schoolhouse Rocks, y'all.
Nice. Yeah.
You can tell what I did with my kids. Lots of singing.
How about you this week, Jay?
It's been a very rewarding week, I'd say, of learning, lots of epiphanies and breakthroughs, and realizing who I am as I share with others, and how I serve, and how I hold space. And holding space is like my thing, and for whatever reason, I have a knack for it. And I've been really enjoying visiting with the people that I've seen this week, and getting ready for this full moon. I'm a Libra, and this is a Libra full moon, so it's super special for Libras. And so I guess going back to that, and for those of you who don't get to see this at this very moment, and you're getting to see this later, seriously, do reflect to Friday, Saturday of last week. Well, it's this week if you're here today. It's Friday, Saturday of last week if you're hearing this on WDRT or on the podcast replay. And this is about the wounds of the heart. And how can you nurture the wounds of the heart now so that the cycle ends. The karmic wound cycle of the heart can be complete if we embrace it fully now. And we can go around and do it again for another year. No problem. The universe doesn't care. The universe is not judging us. No matter what name you give it, it's about holding space. I mean, who is the best at holding space? The universe. And it's like, oh, you decided to go around that merry-go-round again. Totally fine. Well, completely your choice.
Yeah.
So when you say
no judgment.
When you say embrace the wounds of the heart completely, could you
go into that a little more?
Yeah.
Okay, so being willing to reflect, being willing to sit with yourself, being willing to allow anything to bubble up, to not judge yourself. There's not good, there's not bad. These things of our past they're a part of our story. That's how we got here. This is a beautiful time to turn the page, create a new chapter, to glean the wisdom and let the rest go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
That's the danger of it, is to get stuck in that just rumination about it. Because that's not a healthy place either.
Right.
You want to accept it.
Yeah, but it's not healthy to push it away either.
Right.
No, you don't want to repress it.
This week, our friend Gia was visiting with me, and she... I was telling her how much I would often go to a place where I would wish Christopher was here. I would just wish. And I would immediately say, oh, no, Erin, you don't wish. Like, you're here, you're not, this is now, he's gone, wishes are not going to serve you. And she said, well, maybe you should just let that happen. Maybe she said, I understand it's a fine line.
Yeah.
But if it keeps bubbling up, maybe you should sit with that.
Yeah.
And I did, and it was powerful. It was so powerful. I mean, I wished he was here all week long, and I cried rivers and rivers of tears. Like, I didn't even think I was going to be able to pull myself out of the tub yesterday, and I did. And then I, got up to Black Hawk Rock and found perspective, and it, was able to just shift that perspective. But that was my fear. My fear was, if I wish that he was here, it'll never go away. I'll be sitting in my tub for the rest of my life. Jay will be pulling me out, taking me to the emergency room on a full moon.
Well, in a way, what I'm hearing is just you're exploring it completely.
Yeah.
And then it's completed.
Yeah.
You see, and then it's easier to let go.
Take a full
but if you don't explore it,
it'll never go away.
Right. It'll just I want to explore it. There's something in there that wants to be explored.
Absolutely.
But the key is to just exploring it completely and then letting go.
And then it'll be like everything. It'll be probably fewer and far, further between the times where I wish, where it bubbles up. Just like
because
all of our
truly
patterns.
embraced it at the time it was asking to be embraced.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to meet it from a mindful place and not be like, oh no, like you said, you don't want to repress it. What I suggest for myself, if I have something that bubbles up that I've explored, I want to let go, I just try and let it go to the supraconscious. So it passes through from my subconscious into my conscious mind out to the supraconscious, which is the universal mind or whatever, however you'd like to.
And then maybe it even gives you guidance, right? Once you give it to the universe or give it to God, then maybe it guides you along the way.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and maybe just getting in the habit of doing that connects you more completely with the higher intelligence as well. I mean, instead of oh no, this is all up to me, pushback, subconscious,
Right.
It's no, I'm letting this go, and then just finding that connection for myself has been really just transformative, because it's not all up to me.
Yeah.
I think there's another piece to this too, and that is healthy social relationships. And you can do this work on your own, but it can be really hard. Right? And I know that Monte is more of a private fellow and likes to work it on his own, but still you reach out to people too sometimes, right?
Well, we talk.
Right. So I just want to just let that be known that to do this all on your own is almost impossible.
Well, it depends who you are. I would say some people are stuck. Well, if somebody's stuck in jail.
Oh,
well, sure. I'm sure there's a jailmate,
a chaplain,
or there's monks who live by themselves in caves. I mean, all I'm saying is it just depends on who. I don't want to condemn anybody to suffering if they.
Sure, there's a way through even if you don't have a social network.
Yeah, if you don't if you don't have friends you can rely on or whatever, there's still ways, perhaps.
Yeah. And I guess I would say that I'm saying that rather than suffer by yourself, if you have a good friend, reach out and let them help you, because that's, seriously, that's what friends want to do for their friends is be there and help them through. So it could be your partner, it might be a grandma or a grandpa, it might not be your family and you can't trust them.
It might be a coworker.
It might be a coworker
that you always go to.
It might be a therapist. It might be somebody that you pay.
Could it be your angels?
Okay.
I'm just wondering.
Yes,
could be.
Can.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're talented that way, perhaps.
Or even you think about children who maybe have imaginary friends.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see that as similar.
Or your cat.
Yeah.
Or
maybe?
your cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not your cat.
Not my cat. My cat's
Not a good kitty therapist.
No, he's not so friendly.
Bite the
He is
out
to
of
you,
you.
though.
He loves me, and that's it.
That's how cats are, right?
I've never been bitten so hard by a cat.
He was biting at me, walking by him constantly last night.
Oh, really?
Because he needed water.
Oh. Poor kitty.
She's Pepper.
He's like, I think I might shrivel up and die. So I'm just going to bite you until you figure it out.
I could barely poop because it was so dry because I don't have any water, Mom.
That was a little TMI there.
Sorry.
But
It's a cat.
That's a cat, right?
it's a cat. Okay. I have zero idea how much time has gone by because I'm not keeping track. So I think now is a good time to kind of summarize, like, what have we said? What are our tips for our listeners? Like, what do we want them to know that we were trying to convey?
Well, for me, I'm glad you brought that up about reaching out, because I think that's really true and helpful. And because I sat with wishing Christopher was here for almost a year, and I didn't say anything to hardly anybody about it. Mm-hmm. And then finally I said it out loud and was given permission. Mm-hmm. Then it's validation that it's okay. And then I was able to move through that. So reaching out for help, if you have people in your life, use them, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
or
what
accept their service.
Yeah.
It makes us feel good.
Yeah.
And I, to add to that, I also just like what you were saying, like if you don't have friends, like your friends aren't the kind of people that you would share this stuff with, then it makes complete sense not to. Like, the friend that you want to share this with is somebody that you feel better after talking with them. If you feel worse, then there's no reason to expose yourself more. So there's hotlines out there,
Therapists.
There's coaches, there's yoga classes, there's different ways that you can get that social fuel filled back up. Mm-hmm. I feel like being social creatures, we need to fill that well. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't want anyone to feel like their best friend who always makes them feel like crap is the person that they're going to go share this with and think it's going to change anything, because it probably won't. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What else have we talked about?
Well, we talked about how each of us have stories, mm-hmm. which is essentially we all have philosophies, mm-hmm. and how we should examine those philosophies, those stories, and see if they're working for us, or if you want to really take a look at your story, your philosophy, and notice if there's parts of it that you may want to wish shift. Mm-hmm. If you think shifting part of your philosophy might be beneficial to you, you might want to explore that.
To not be rigid, to be flexible.
Yeah, and step one is to know you have a philosophy too. Most of us don't even realize that. It's just like, what?
Day to day.
Yeah. Which means status quo, essentially. Mm-hmm. If we don't examine it, we just kind of, like, the old story just keeps happening over and over in our mind. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that might hold us back, perhaps. So it's good to just take a look at it and see what you think of it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You are not your thoughts. We talked about that. You're the projector of your thoughts. You're not your thoughts. So if you have to change a thought, or if you have to change an idea, that's fine, because you're the projector behind your thoughts. There's nothing to fear when it comes to changing your thoughts. There's no weakness. That's a strength, actually.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And what else do we talk about?
We talked about that we're 70% water or more, and that we are pulled by the moon. I don't even think that's astrology. I think it's astronomy.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of part of our physical nature. And if we can honor that, then maybe it won't take us over. And
I think physics is going to, in the next decade, I think it's going to make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. Richard Rohr says that science is more interested in religion than religion's interested in religion right now. Just because
That's interesting.
Yeah, just the universal cosmic connections is so close to what Christianity has always said is God and what, the Tao and
Yeah, they all interweave, which I think is so beautiful. Yeah. Were there any other big points that we made?
No, but we didn't talk about love, so I think we better put a little plug for love.
Well,
in
you
there.
did say that like self-love was the key, and I agree with that. So how do we do that?
Yeah.
Is the question.
I think so. The self-love, to tie that in with what we've said too, is to be flexible with your philosophy, is to be flexible with your beliefs, is to...
I think you have to explore them too.
Right.
It's the trauma.
Yeah.
I think a big piece of it is the trauma, and you have to explore that trauma. The why do I believe this? And it's not always trauma. Sometimes it's beautiful why you believe what you believe. Other times it doesn't serve you, and it's exploring that so that you can get to your true self.
Yeah.
Then you can love your true self. It's like loving the baby J, or I do this. Oh, that's my baby. Oh. It's getting to that place. And I think it's through investigation and then the good things like the bath and the physical self-love too, like and maybe saying in your mind the things you tell yourself, the inner
training your
dialogue,
mind.
training
big time.
your mind,
having space between your thoughts, not thinking too much,
being okay with stillness and not calling it boredom.
Yeah,
That's a huge one.
I wonder what it would be like to be bored. It's been so long.
I think it's funny that, and I didn't mean to add something, but boredom is generally those times when we have time.
Yeah.
Instead of going, gee, now's the moment I sit in stillness and listen to the birds and watch my cat. Or, it's like we go, oh, I need to be doing something. I'm going to turn on the screen. Something's got to be on TV. I need to be entertained right now. But really, the present moment is super entertaining.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, and that's something that screen time does to us, is when it kind of pounds all this information at us. So then when it's turned off, you feel bored. And your mind is kind of processing all the information. It's confusing. It doesn't feel good. And you're bored. You're stunned. Your mind is stunned. So it's hard to hear the birds and appreciate them at that point. So that's part of my self-love trip, is to attempt to be moderate with the screen time, really. And another aspect of self-love I've been working with is just physically bringing that heart forward and trying to have love in my heart, and then if I can have that love feeling in my heart, that openness, it's like an open, energetic, vital kind of feeling, then it's easy to apply that to the world around me or to myself. But if I don't, and I noticed the other night, I woke up in the middle of the night and I had some like fearful thought, and my whole heart felt constricted and anxious sort of, and uncomfortable, like a buzzing almost. I was like, oh, this is the feeling of fear. It's like, so fear gets in the way of love, for sure. So noticing that, and I suggest just working with it. But bringing the heart forward just throughout your day as much as possible, and trying to feel that energy emanating from the heart would be my suggestions. It's a practice I work on.
And just to tie in the Trinity of Stories too, and that as we have self-love, then we're more open and willing to accept the other person's story. We're more open and flexible and fluid to contemplate the story, and without any dogma, but just from this place of love, we can sense truth and we can sense dogma. Or how would you describe dogma?
Just status quo.
Status quo.
Rules and order.
Yeah. The way it goes in my head is the dogma is the human crap that we put on the beautiful
that is so
story.
not human, right?
Yeah. And like we try to humanize that which is way beyond the human. Like we're just like a little bit of the universe, and the universe is this huge
which
energy.
gets down to like the third story too, which is something we talked about.
Right.
Is that what you're saying? Right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What an ego trip to try to humanize.
I know, right?
No doubt.
The universe or God or
I know what God is.
Yeah.
It's like, do you really?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
I still can't describe it often.
Well, right.
Often I just get stuck.
Words.
I can write it sometimes. I can meditate on it, but I often can't speak it.
I think you're right. It's more of a feeling. It is beyond words, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, to really get there is like you have to be in this transcendental place, and you perhaps have glimpses of the feeling.
Yeah.
And I just want to honor those who do have a structured belief of God or the universe. And it's totally okay. We're not criticizing you. We're offering that the boundaries of the constructs be permeable and receive your intuitive.
Yeah, to look deeper.
Yeah.
To just imagine that it could be deeper than the construct. And that it's okay
have
to
your own
explore
personal experience
Yeah.
with it instead of just receive what you're told to experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just find humility
Yeah.
in general. I mean, that's like a huge issue in our culture, I believe, is we lack in humility. And we think, I know this, I know this, I know this, I know that. And really, what do you really know? It's like, well, I think this is true, but maybe it's not. Have more of that type of philosophy is a bit more humble, or way more humble and more accurate.
And fluid, which I guess is what I'm saying is the humility is fluid because it's I'm open to the idea that I don't know. And yeah. So shout out to our WDRT listeners, and thank you for all of you on the live stream. We have more for you. And for any replays, Mindflow Radio, you can look it up on Google, and you'll find lots of ways that you can be entertained by mindful living explorations with us. And we have another song or two, I'm not sure. And we'll see if Monte wants to share a little Tai Chi with us. We'll see. And again, just big thanks. Big thanks.
Thank you.
We appreciate being able to share.
Yeah.
This is our favorite way to talk. And so we're not really different off camera.
No, we're not.
We are, I guess I do have an announcement. We are going to take Mindflow Radio on the road. I'm really excited. We have 2 interviews confirmed. 1, I'm hoping that will be confirmed. So we might have 3, and we're possibly 4, possibly 4. We'll see. So it's all very exciting. So stay tuned, and you can subscribe, follow us. You can reach out to us via email or however you can find your way to us. And if you ever need an ear, let us know. We're here. And we, like I said, we're like this off camera. We enjoy these subjects. They are our passion and our life.
Yeah.
No
matter where you are, you know, I mean, we've been there wherever you are. Well, except for here. I haven't been here, but I've been all the way up. So,
right.
So if you're here, I appreciate you talking to me and coming to
just
me
share
to
your vibes with us.
Well, essentially, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And we all have issues, and we just work as we can work together and rise up together.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Be well.
Thank you.
Shakti Oh
One more for good measure.
Namaste.
moving our pieces in this game of life. Let it be a collaborative game, a cooperative game. We don't have to play tug of war. It's a choice that we can make. We can play a game where everyone